I don't think they fully have. I think it's genetic for them. Take this barbecue. The food available was of a very wide variety. Like us, many humans enjoy salads and they had a few of them available. The lettuce type was certainly my favorite, but they also had one with potatoes, which are these amazing roots, I think. Also several other salads, including something they called macaroni, but the main dish that the humans were there for was a wild animal. My host had recently terminated what he called a wild boar that was considered to be an invasive animal to his area. So he invited his family group, people that lived in close proximity to him, his co-workers, and myself. I was what he called the guest of honor. A lot of these people also brought their offspring. Ah, so the adults still hunt. Did he chase down this wild boar? Asked Nilf. No, he used a very primitive slug thrower. I asked if his people still chase down prey and he said in some areas they do, but he had accumulated too much age and mass to do so. He preferred to hide in a tree with his slug thrower. But what really convinced me that humans are still predators are their offspring. You see, they quickly organized a number of games and a lot of them didn't have familiarity with each other. The younger ones had the most simple games. They would chase each other. When one was caught they would simply start chasing another. Also they had games that involved throwing things. They tended to prefer throwing spheres or oblate spheroids, but great emphasis was placed on accuracy in throwing and catching. When I asked my host about this, he said something about being joyful that the offspring were doing something to exert themselves rather than using electronic devices. When I asked further about the rules of these games, he seemed confused. He said with Tag 1 does not desire to be it and can only remove this condition by being fast enough to contact someone else and proclaim that they are now it. He didn't claim to know what the rules of every throwing game was, but he was quite proud of the older offspring running what he called passes. Wait. So their offspring instinctively hunt each other? It seems if they're playing tag the best strategy would be to hide. So stated. I realized that this would take a lot of time to explain, though I was pleased at more social meetings that would be needed to do this. Their offspring have a game for that. They called it hide and go seek. When I asked about how they transitioned to it from tag, again my host said tag tends to turn into it when the first person tries to hide. So you see, they became such successful predators because their earliest recreation is a form of war gaming, the predator/prey relationship. Again the table was silent. I also noticed that some tables near us had ceased their conversations. I think we should keep them off our planet, a patron of another table said. This was met with murmurs of approval. While I was no great expert of humanity or Terra, I did feel a need to defend my friends, so I stood to address those near me. Humanity can seem terrifying, but their history, both ancient and modern, is filled with countless examples of them risking everything and even terminating themselves to save not only each other but other animals on their world. I would tremble in fear of having them as an enemy, but when I was there I slept better knowing them as friends. I was met with approval, but I felt humanity would be best if they were slowly introduced on my world. Many of them expressed a desire to visit, even though it is very tame compared to Terra. My thoughts were interrupted as our meal was presented to us. Conversation at our table quickly went back to humans. My friends were speculating at how they survived, let alone thrived, on a world filled with other predators. I felt it would be best to save the history of how they turned one of their greatest rival predators into what they called their best friend.